The recording has started. Why did she say that so loud? But yes, hey everybody.
Hello.
All right. Okay, so tonight, what we're gonna do, right, is I'm gonna go over. It's gonna be a review, pretty much, of everything that we did, but I'm going to be explaining exactly what's going on here as a whole. So I'm going to go through the entirety of the story. It's a story. And that the reason why I say a story, because I don't want to call it history. Right? I'm going to tell you the whole story. Right? So what's going to happen is I gave you the file early so that you can take notes while I'm talking. Right? Because what you know already, right? Because everybody has a different knowledge base, right? And so this is where we're all going to meet at the same place. We're all going to meet at the same place here, right? So we all know different things. While I'm going through this story, the things that you know, you're going to be able to fit them in, okay? Right? Because I'm not going to go over all the details, or this would last for 5 hours, right? So I want you guys to use this file while I'm talking to take notes. Operation Marvin Gaye, we're going to use that, right? And there are very many details, okay? So what I'm going to do is there's going to be particular points that I bring up, and I'm going to, tell you to write it down and look it up later, okay? So let's see how many people. All right, we can start. About 5. All right. We usually like starting at 7, 8 people, right? But okay, so did everybody download the file? Does anybody have a problem doing that? Yeah.
I think they're going for good for.
Oh, it's right here. Now let's see what else. Oh, okay. Right. Right. Okay, cool. There's 2 things that I need for you guys to do between tonight and Thursday, right? And that would be to watch, and I need you guys to do this. Please do this, right? Okay? I need you to watch The Matrix. I need you to look up a movie called They Live. I need you to watch those 2 movies. If we can find, we'll find them.
What was that second movie was?
The second movie is called They Live.
They Live?
Yes, with Roddy Piper, the wrestler.
Okay.
Yeah, Roddy Piper, the wrestler. He's in that movie. I need you guys to watch those 2 movies between tonight and Thursday.
Just the first Matrix, not the whole trilogy.
Yeah, just the first one. Yeah, because see, what I was gonna do when we tried to have movie night, and it's usually what the annoying guy does during the movie, but because most of us saw it already, we were gonna watch the movie, and every time there's a relevant point in the movie, I would pause it and explain to you what the symbology is. So
because I watched this movie before you even asked I watched it the day before yesterday.
Okay, cool. Now, see what, and it's interesting because I have the whole script. Right, I have the whole script, and
I read the script too before. Hey.
I wish I was able to put notes and mark everything out and give it to you like that, but I didn't do that yet.
The scene index on the inside of the cover is numbered from 1 to 38.
Right.
has so many. It tells you each scene.
Yeah, everything.
Real symbolic.
It's pretty long. But see, the thing is that the reason why I was going to do that is because there's so many details in that song. I mean, in that movie. Because when you think about, I'll just bring up a few points. Like the girl in the beginning when he said follow the white rabbit, right?
Mhm.
Okay, on the computer, Neo was told to follow the white rabbit, and when he answered the door, and those people were at the door, the girl had the white rabbit on her arm, right?
Yep.
Her name, though, is De Jour.
Ah.
But did you see? Did you pay attention to where they were going? Like when he did follow him, though.
Yeah. But peep how following the white rabbit's name is De Jour. Right? So from the very beginning of the movie, there's so many details that one would have to actually press pause and take notes almost every time that happens to actually see what they're trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? To see what they're trying to tell you. So that's, and the other thing was, okay, this is the last point before I start the class. The other point that I was gonna bring up while we was watching the movie was that when they were about to take him to the ship, right?
Yep.
When he got in the car, what happened when he got in the car?
When they took the parasite out of his belly.
Before they can trust him, right? They had to know that he was not infected.
Wow.
And if he was to fight them or disagree with them removing the parasite, they were going to shoot him because he couldn't be trusted.
That is crazy.
Unless they removed the worm from him, son.
Yeah, that parasite was.
Where was it?
Where was it, in his body or?
Yeah, it was in his stomach, right?
That was the symbol. His belly button.
That's the symbol.
You know you can do like essential oils and put it in your belly button, and like it kind of helps with that too.
You want to hear something scary? Don't do this with your belly button, though. But if you get sugar cubes, right?
Uh-huh.
Just keep your minds clean. If you get sugar cubes, right, and you get meat like steak or something, right, and you take the sugar cube and put it on top of the meat and let it sit there, you'll see the worms come up to the top.
It'll come in there. You can do it with corn. You can pour Pepsi or Coke over pork, and it'll do that too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, pretty freaking crazy. But yes, so there was a lot of points that I was going to bring up. So I want you guys to watch those two movies and pay attention to everything that happens. Okay? Now, let's begin. Everybody has the file, right? I want you guys to open the file so that, while I'm talking, you could go through it.
I gotta open it tomorrow.
It's cool. All right. All right. So, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
All right.
God, the creation of the universe.
Great. All right. So, at this point, I want everybody to turn their mics off until the end where, we do the questions and comments and stuff. Here we go. All right. All right. So, there will be absolutely, and I'm not going to say absolutely because we have titles, right? But there's going to be no text, okay? I'm going to be telling you the story, and I'm going to need you guys to pay attention. There's going to be no reading, right? Story time. Campfire time, right? I call this file Operation Marvin Gaye because I'm going to explain to everyone what's going on. Okay? Now, we've gone over these things briefly. We've gone over some of these things in detail during the classes, but I'm going to put it all together. So this is kind of like a review of all of our classes, and I'm going to be fitting all of the puzzle pieces together for you. Okay? All right. So here's where we start. We start with God. Right? Now, I'm using the term God. There's very many different names. Okay? I mean, come on, a dog is called a perro, okay, in Spanish, right? So let's not get into particular names, right? So we're talking about the first intelligent being that ever existed, okay, because somebody had to be first in the universe, okay? That's who God is. That's where we're going to start this story with, because how can we without it? So, okay, so everything in creation came from that one being, that one intelligent being, okay, creates everything else. So we have space, right? Now, you know, we all have details and we all have different opinions, but please, just bear with me, right? So we have space now. Everything in space that exists came from that one, all right? Now, this intelligent being created other intelligent beings in space, because heaven, the heavens, just means space, okay? So, right, this intelligent being, the first intelligent being that ever existed, that we're going to call God, right, the first source and center of all things, okay, creates other intelligent beings in space, right? The only locations that beings can exist in space are planets. Okay, you want to call them stars, you want to call them suns, you want to call them moons. I don't care. Okay, there's spheres, right, in space that are how can I say, are the locations for different types of celestial beings. Celestial just means you're a being that exists in space, not on Earth. That's what celestial means, space. Okay? Okay. Now, right? We know that the angels were created, right? The angels and the Melchizedeks, just to throw that out there, the first two types of beings that were created, physical beings that were created, were the Melchizedeks and the angels. Okay, now, so, we have God, we have space, we have intelligent beings, all right? Okay? So far, everything's cool, right? Now, here's where everything goes bananas. All right, now, Lucifer, at the time in this chronological story, because this is a chronological story, I'm not going to give you exact years and a timeline, but this story is chronological in order, right? In chronological order, let me say it right. Okay, so, right, Lucifer is an angel, right? There's different species of angels, but we'll get into that later, right? Now, Lucifer begins to love himself a bit too much. What happens is he wants to be God. Doesn't see why he can't have everything that God has and be able to do everything that God can do. Okay? He wants to be the one. He wants to be the first. He wants that. It's impossible because after the first, nothing else can be that. Doesn't make any sense, right? Okay. So, like I said before, minus details, because I don't know everything, right? Minus details, this pissed Lucifer off that he could not figure out how to be or beat God, right? So what happened was he went into what was called the 100 years of contemplation. He abandoned his post because his position was the bringer of light, the bright morning star. Whenever it was that light was to appear, Lucifer was in charge of making sure that that happened. Okay? All right. He abandoned his post. Okay? He quit. All right? I know that's not going to get into how crazy that is, but he abandoned his post and went into what was called the 100 years of contemplation, which is the depiction of this picture here. Okay? All right. Now, what happened here was he deprived himself of the light. I do not know what type of bodies these angels had, but I know that light provides sustenance for everything. So, by devoiding himself, isolating himself from the light, he became deficient in some way, right? Making him sick in some way, right? Now, okay, let me slow down. All right, now, cool. Lucifer, Satan, and the devil are not the same being. I know we went over these things, but remember, we're reviewing everything that we went over so far, and we're connecting all of the puzzle pieces in chronological order. All right. Now, so, in him isolating himself from the light and being deficient of whatever sustenance it was that these angels received from the light, he became sick. Now, the evidence of this, the records of this, are the Gnostics, the Nag Hammadi texts, right? Naghamadi text, Texts, right? Okay. The Gnostics, right, figures this out after accumulating different records and scrolls and tablets, right? Okay, they figured out what happened, and when he became sick, there were the first parasites that ever existed, right, came from his body. They originated in his body during his sickness, dis-ease. Okay, all right, all right. Now, the closest to him of his brothers was Satan. Remember, at this time, everyone was good. Everything was all good. Okay, there was no rebellion. There was no evil in the universe at this time. Okay, cool. Now, what happened was the first of the angels that was infected was Satan, because they were close. Okay, so not only did he infect Satan in whatever physical way that happened, because angels are physical, okay, all right, Lucifer infected Satan first. Now, he also convinced him of this rebellion against God, right? Because in this 100 years of contemplation, he figured it out. He figured it out. Okay? Took him 100 years, but he figured it out. What he figured out was, if I can't be or beat the one, what I can do is if I was the opposite of you, right, then I'd be the first, right? Then I could be the one. But I have to be the opposite of everything that you are in order to be that. And so he convinced Satan into doing this because his logic behind it was that if they were given the ability to do whatever they willed to do, right, then why should they have to take orders or follow rules or any of that? They should be able to just do whatever they want. They have power. They can create things. Why not be able to just go out there and, they have to punch in for, right? So, in him claiming that God and Michael were tyrants and that they should be able to be free and do whatever they want, right, he convinced Satan that this was a good idea. And he also infected Satan at the same time. This is where all of this started. Okay? Now, this is where 1/3 of the angels in heaven were also infected and joined Lucifer and Satan in the rebellion against God. It was called the Outbreak of Rebellion. Now, there are other places where it's called the virus of rebellion, right? It's very interesting that in these different places, it's called virus, it's called outbreak, because what I'm telling you is entirely true. Just please, bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Now, this is a depiction of the infection of the 1/3 of the angels in heaven. Okay? All right? Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what happened between that point to Earth. All right? Now, what happened was the first beings to ever be infected, right, were the angels. Okay? Now, the second place, now mind you, you're taking notes, okay, while you're looking through this file and listening to me talk, you're taking notes because this puzzle, when you look at it, when you put all these puzzle pieces together and look at the big picture, remember, you heard it here first. No, okay, right. Now, the second group of beings that was infected was the Draconians, because the first stop that Lucifer and Satan made was the Dracos constellation. Okay? And every time I discuss a different part of the story, I'm going to give you pieces of evidence. Please check everything I say. Go check. Dare you. Now, listen. The Draconians are the second group of beings, type of being, species, race, the second race that was infected by Lucifer and Satan. Okay? These parasites were spread from Lucifer, Satan, to 1/3 of the angels in heaven. Then they all went to the Dracos constellation and infected the Draconians. Now, what I believe is that they infected the entire planet, but I cannot say that. That would be foolish to say that they infected everyone on the entire planet. I would say the majority of the planet. They took over the Dracos constellation itself and infected the beings that lived there, which were reptilian. Okay, right? That is where we get the word dragon from. Also, that is where the term, here's the evidence, where the term draconian law comes from. Because it is cruel. Lucifer-like laws, right? Reptilian-like laws, okay? Okay, yes, draconian law. Yeah, how is it a term if draconians don't exist? Anyway, moving on. So, they went on to infect other worlds There were other planets, other races, other beings that joined Lucifer and Satan and the Draconians in this rebellion against God and Michael and the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Now, we're moving to Earth now. Here's what went down with our planet. All right. Now, biblically, because, you can cross-reference all of this, so I don't care what book you cross-reference it with. You can use the Bible, you can use the Quran, you could use the Holy Tablets, you could use the Urantia book, you can use the Emerald Tablets. I don't care what book you cross-reference what I'm telling you in. You're going to find the truth and the puzzle pieces in what I'm saying. Okay, so now fast forwarding to Earth. Here's what happened. In the Bible, the first time where man was created, this is evidence that man existed on Earth and that man was placed on Earth. We know the evidence of that because we're here, right? But, okay, if you pay attention to Genesis 1, man was created twice. And I'm going to clear that up for you right now. Okay, so primitive man, okay, existed on Earth, and at the point that man was intelligent enough to be taught advanced things, right, when man's evolution could be boosted, so to speak, right, it was sanctioned that a planet, what is called a planetary prince, right, and these are angels that are sent to worlds that have intelligent beings on them. When those beings are intelligent enough to be taught advanced things and their evolution can be fostered, right? An angel is sent to that planet to take the position as the prince of that planet. Okay? Please pay attention. So, right? An angel named Caligostia was sent to Earth with 100 other celestial beings that were of different types. Some were angels, some were not. Okay? Right? And Caligostia and those 100 members were sent to Earth to help foster the evolution and advancement of the civilization of mankind. Okay? Okay, right? The evidence of this, right, is, everywhere in ancient records of there being, of beings coming to our world to help teach us advanced technologies and other things. It's everywhere, okay? But I'm telling you who those beings were, all right? Okay? Okay. Now, the place that you want to use the term landed, whatever, right? But in ancient records, it's called descended from the heavens, okay? All right? Okay? But the location where they landed was called ancient Mesopotamia, okay? All right? Now, this is to say that the angel that was sent to Earth with the 100 celestial beings, whose job it was to help foster the advancement of civilization on Earth, okay, right? They landed in ancient Mesopotamia, right? Ancient Mesopotamia is now called Iraq. Just please pay attention. All right? Now, the only records that we have, right, before ancient Egypt are of Atlantis. Okay? Now, Atlantis isn't real. That's just a myth. Those are stories. Listen. Okay? The one word that they used, or there's a few words that they used to hide what really happened. The word myth, the word legend, the word fairy tale, folklore, all of those words are words that they use to hide what really happened. Okay? Okay. Now, all right. This they built, established. I do not know how long it took, and I can say that about when this happened, so this is about 250,000 years ago, when Caligastia and his staff of 100 landed in ancient Mesopotamia. Okay? They established a city. That city was called Dalmatia, right? And Atlantis is the continent or nation. Okay? It's the only records, the first records of an advanced civilization being on Earth. Right? Okay? Now, here we go. In Atlantis, I'm not going to say that this is what happened. I'm going to use Dalmatia, in the city of Dalmatia, right? What happened was Caligastia and his staff, this angel and his staff of celestial beings, were gathering all of the most intelligent people from around the world in this one place. They established a city. They were gathering all of the intelligent people from all the tribes around the world in this one place, and they were teaching them advanced things so they could send them back to where they're from, to their people, to help them, become civilized. Okay, right? And this went on for some time. I don't know how long, right, exactly. But what happened was, meanwhile, in heaven, right, Lucifer and Satan are going from world to world, infecting entire planets, convincing entire worlds into rebelling against God with them, okay? And because they were jealous of mankind and our potential to ascend to the point that we are between God and angels, Lucifer sent Satan to Earth to infect Caligastia and convince Caligastia into rebelling against God too. And the plan, and it worked, by the way, it worked. And 60 out of 100 of those celestial beings that were from other worlds joined Caligastia in rebelling against God with Satan and Lucifer. Okay, now, right? This conflict, because there was a conflict between the 60 members and the 40 members, right? Okay, in this city of Dalmatia, where they were teaching mankind advanced things. So when Caligastia rebelled, he would, mind you, let's go back, mind you, at this time he was called the planetary prince of Earth, or, quote unquote, the prince of this world. Okay, right? Now, when Satan was sent to Earth and infected Caligastia. His title then, because he lost his job, okay, he got fired. Okay, you're not the planetary prince of Earth anymore. Like, right? This is where he lost his job. He became the Prince of Darkness at this time. Okay? Now, he was also infected. So, parasites, scientific fact, that parasites are able to alter the molecular structure of their host. That means you can look everything up that I say, every single last thing I say. Parasites can make their hosts grow extra head, extra arms, extra fingers, horns, wings, tail, whatever. Listen, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Caligastia, but he was an angel, and he's not an angel anymore, right? He lost his job. He went from being the planetary prince of Earth to being the prince of darkness. Now, 60 out of 100 of those celestial beings, I don't know, you want to call them aliens? Do it. Fine. Okay? Look, 60 out of 100 of the angels and aliens, hey, look, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to say. So I'm going to say celestial beings, all right? But 60 out of 100 of them rebelled with Caligastia against God. Okay. Now, this is where the name Caligastia was heard no more. His name became the devil at this point. Now, if you, and I have to send you guys this file too, right? You'll be getting this file too. But in Atlantis, the continent, the whatever you want to call it, right, was a conflict between good and evil. It's the first time that this is recorded to have happened on Earth between civilized beings. All right. Now, also, you know that Atlantis, the records of Atlantis, and they're actually finding artifacts from Atlantis, so it existed. They're finding advanced technology, right? Artifacts of advanced technology. Okay, cool, fine. They were from planets that were, who knows, millions of years older than Earth. They were using cell phones and laptops and tablets millions of years ago. Okay, so who knows what type of cities they could build, right, on a planet that has nothing on it yet, right? Okay, so look, the oldest records we have of this, right, is Atlantis. Fine. So, in this city called Dalmatia, right? The devil now, the prince of darkness, okay, the plan of helping to civilize mankind and teach us advanced things then became the plan to enslave, destroy, right? Enslave and destroy mankind, and you know, right? And instead of making us smart, the plan was to make us stupid. That's where it started. Look, pay attention, okay? This is where it started. All right? Okay, all this devil, hell, enslavement, all of this stuff, this is where it started. Okay? Now, because this is the city where they all landed at and established together, right? Being that there was a conflict, there was obviously a conflict, right? And so, whatever structure the city had, whatever structure the continent had, there was a war between good and evil. Fine. Listen, here's what happened. All right? The beings that rebelled against God, they all went to different places around the world. Because remember, they were teaching different tribes, different people around the world. Right? So these different beings went, you know, because there was a conflict. Some of them went to India, some of them went to Rome, some of them went to, right? This is what happened. Please pay attention, right? So now, the first place that it is recorded to have been established after Atlantis was ancient Egypt. Okay? Right? Now, I don't know where to throw in ancient Rome and Greece at to say whether Egypt was first or whether they all happened at the same time, who built whose city first after Atlantis, but, right, Egypt is the first recorded established city, continent, nation, okay, right? Now, how can I say this? All right. Now, before we go to ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and Rome and all of that, when the rebellion happened in Dalmatia, in ancient Mesopotamia, in what is now called Iraq, which is the devil's first city, was in Iraq. Something you might not know, throw something out there to you, and I think I have this number right, but out of all of the, what is it, like 2 decades, maybe more, that the United States Incorporated has been messing around, right, in Iraq, okay, right, about 20 years. Let me tell you something that you may, out of all the pictures and all the videos and all the news footage, right, how many pyramids did they show you in Iraq? I know everybody's mic's off. Right, I know everybody's mic's off, but I'm going to give you a second to think about that because you haven't seen any, right? And I'd like to say that there are 28. There are 28 pyramids. Yeah. There's 28 pyramids in Iraq. They ever show you those? They ever show you one? Ever show you one soldier in front of one pyramid in Iraq? Right. Listen, the devil's first city, okay, was in ancient Mesopotamia, which is now called Iraq. Folks, play with that one. Now, here's the deal, right? The first sorry attempt that evil made to create something, because they had to run, okay, they had to when they ran, right? The first place that they established, right? Okay, I don't know what the place was called, right? It's not, but Babel, the Tower of Babel was the first sorry ass construction that was put together. But listen, here's what happened. This rebellion, remind you, Kalagasti was an angel. He was sent here with 100 celestial beings that were from different worlds, okay, right? When they rebelled against God, it was called a worldwide orgy is what happened. Listen, I don't know. I'm trying not to curse here. I'm going to try not to curse here, man. Even though I curse all the time. But for this story and this class, I'm going to try not to. But, okay, angels were screwing angels. Angels were screwing people. Were screwing animals. Everything was screwing everything. The aliens that were also the celestial beings were screwing angels, were screwing people and animals, and everything was screwing everything at this time. This is when that happened, okay? All right. Now, okay, right? Being that this happened, there were children, okay, of this interbreeding between angels and people and animals and aliens, son, and all types of shit, all types. Whew. Let me take a breather right now. There's all types of beings out here right now as we're speaking, okay, because of this. All right. So the minotaurs and centaurs and fairies and dwarves and look, right, all of those beings right? And mermaids and nymphs and whatever, you name it, right? Okay? They are the results of what happened here. Now, moving on. I say that to say that the gods, the so-called gods of ancient Egypt and ancient Rome and Greece and India, whatever, look, they are the children. Yes, they are the children. See, this is the Tower of Babel. This is the tower, right? Look, see a little statue, the statue there, right? This is where the screwing, this is where the global orgy, where everybody, this might as well have been a brothel, a giant brothel reaching with a middle finger up to heaven is what this was. It was a giant middle finger where everything was screwing everything here. I don't care. You see my little cursor, right? This is where that happened. Okay. Right? Okay. Right? These are the children. These are the children of that occurrence. Now, I'm not saying that these are the exact children of the occurrence, right? Because these are not photographs. But guess what? They didn't have pictures back then. The only way they could record what they frickin' saw was to draw, paint, sculpt, carve. Listen, okay? This is an example of the results of what I'm telling you. These are the children, okay, of what happened here. Children of what happened here, okay? These were considered as gods and goddesses, blah, 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 etc., etc. I'm telling you that they are the children of this. And it happened. Okay? Fine. Now, the Garden of Eden. Interesting you throw that in here now, Machete, right? I'm going to take another breather because it gets really serious here. Mind you, I told you already that in the Bible, the man was created once already. And I just told you what happened with the first man, the first man in the Bible that was created the first time. Right. Between that first time that man was created and the second time was everything I just said. Okay? The second time man was created was here. And one moment, I'll get into that in a second. Okay? All right then. So, the Garden of frickin' Eden. Okay, it is also sanctioned that when intelligent life on a planet reaches the point where they can be taught spiritual things, okay, when that can be added to the intelligent life on a world, okay, a planetary, pay attention, a planetary Adam and Eve are sent to that world to add the spiritual DNA to the intelligent, or to the now intelligent life on that world. Okay? That is what the job of Adams and Eves are. Okay? You can almost say that Adam and Eve are job titles, not names, but whatever. Okay? Every planet with intelligent life on it is sent a planetary prince and is sent a planetary Adam and Eve. These are different points of advancement of the intelligent life on a world. This is the assistance this is God's mercy and his love for his creations, right? Okay. But this is what he does for us, okay? So this is the order of things. Now, man was created once, man went through all this crap that we just talked about, and now Adam and Eve are sent to Earth, okay? Wait, who is that? Whose mic is that? Whose mic is on? Right? Hello? Turn your mic off. Who is that? Okay, right? Now, Anonymous left the meeting. Who's Anonymous? Whatever. Okay, so, now, here's the thing, right? It gets serious and deep now, right? At this time on Earth, there were, let me get this number right, man, 6 original colored races on the planet. Let me see if I can get these colors right. These different races, there were 6 colored races on Earth at this time. There was the orange man, there was green man, there was the blue man, there was the red man, right? The yellow man. So now the yellow man are what are now called, the descendants of them are the Asians, right? Then you have the orange man, and the descendants of them are the I don't want to say, I hate saying Mexican, right? But they're like the Aztecs and the Mayans, right? They're descendants of the orange race. The Native Americans are the descendants of the red race. There's no such thing as a black race, and I'm still not going to talk about that tonight, but people are so stupid, right? But anyway, right, the indigo race is what brown people are called, right? We're the descendants of the indigo race, but there's nobody's pure right now. Everybody kind of has everything, right? But I'm just saying to delineate the colors of the spectrum for everybody, right? The green man is extinct. The blue man is extinct, right? The green man and the blue man are extinct, right? And the orange man is extinct. Well, they're not, because not Aborigines, but there are remnants of the orange man still here. Anyway, regardless of that, Adam and Eve, right, were the first of the violet race to appear on Earth, to arrive on Earth. Okay? Listen, this is the second time that man was created in the Bible, okay? And let's name him Adam. He's Adam, right? Bong, right? This is the second time that man was created, and man wasn't created on Earth, everyone. Man was sent to Earth. It's the second man. But this is what happened. This is where Adam and Eve were supposed to add the celestial, right? The celestial DNA, right? To mankind on Earth. It's supposed to happen. All right? Supposed to happen. That was the plan. Those were their orders, to come here and add their DNA to our DNA, making us celestial. Okay, so to speak. This here apple snake crap. Okay, let me explain to you what happened here. Okay, now mind you, we just discussed all of the colors of the spectrum. We discussed all of the beings that were here. We discussed some locations. Okay, right? All right. Here's the deal. Nod, Nod was the name of one of the members of Kalagastia's staff that rebelled against God. Nod was from the Dracos constellation. Nod was reptilian. Nod was in charge of the devil's army, okay, on Earth. Nod's general, Nod's general's name was Serapacia, which is where we get the word serpent from. Okay, just I don't care what. Now look, now look. The word serpent came from the being named Serapacia, who was from Draco's constellation, and that was the general of Nod's army, which was the devil's army, but Nod was so that would make Nod the general, right? I guess, and like the sergeant was whatever, right? Okay, Nod was in charge of the devil's army, and Serapacia was his right hand man, and Kano, right? Kano was one of the soldiers in Nod's army, and Nod gave Kano the orders to go to Adam and convince Adam to add reptilian DNA to their DNA and mankind's DNA to make like a super being or something. But really what they were planning on doing was creating a super reptilian lizard king or something to take, but they were trying to find out what was so special about man, and they wanted that. So they were trying to trick Adam into doing this, but they were trying to convince him that it would be like getting extra credit. You know what I'm saying? Like how much better would mankind be if you added your DNA and our DNA, right? Is what the scam was, right? And Adam, Kano and Adam was talking, and Adam, looked around and said, I don't remember being told to do that. That's not in my orders. I wasn't, God didn't say, add lizard DNA to mankind's DNA. I'm not doing that, right? So, goes back to the devil and says, we tried talking to Adam. He's not messing with us. It didn't work. The devil goes, did you try the woman? No, we didn't. Go try the woman then. Right? Okay. Kano goes to Eve while Adam is doing something, I don't know what, right? You can go over those details. Like I said, there's details to all this stuff. You guys can look all this stuff up, find these stories, put all the puzzle pieces together yourself, but listen, right? So, Kano convinces Eve into going along with this plan, but it took some time. It sounded good to her at first because she wanted the extra credit. Not only that, but he told her that, and he told her a different way of doing it because Adam and Eve were scientists. See, there was a science to this. There was a method. There were protocols. There were steps they were supposed to take to make this happen, right? Generations this would take to eventually, happen. Kano convinces Eve that if she does it their way, right? If she does it his way, they'll be able to add that DNA to mankind in a matter of months. right? And she goes along with this, but it takes him some time. She says, okay, look, this sounds good, but we're going to have to talk about this further. I'm not sure, right? So, Adam goes to sleep around 11:30, right? Meet me at 12 midnight in the courtyard, and we'll discuss this further. Is what happened. Is what happened. I don't listen. I don't care. Look. I'm not here to to baby what anybody believes, right? Right? This is what happened, yo. Right? So eventually she agrees with this plan. Okay? Right? She has sex with Kano, right? This is what is called the eating of the apple. Kano is the symbol. The snake is representative of Kano because he's reptilian, serpent of whatever. Okay? This is where all of that comes from. Now, the apple part is because they were infected, man. Okay? They were infected. All right? And so they knew evil. That mankind that that mankind and Eve did not know of as of yet. Because when they arrived on Earth, they were supposed to arrive on a normal Earth. They did not expect, when they got here and saw, they did not expect that. I'm not going to get into those details, but they had, that was not, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. Okay, right? Anyway, so adding this DNA to mankind's DNA was combining evil and good together. Okay? Her even talking to Kano at all was corrupting her mind, right? And her soul. Now, she was not infected, to my knowledge. She was not infected. But yes, she was, because she gave birth to Cain, who was Kano's child, which if you look up now, it's note time, the bloodline of Cain, right? Right? And it's interesting because Eve was celestial, and so it's really I'm not gonna say it's a mystery, but it's really interesting because there's no record. I have no record of all my decades of research. I have no record of Eve being infected. But the child that she had with Kano was Cain, and Cain was part reptilian, okay, part man and part celestial being. So, right? This is where the bloodline of Cain began. Research the bloodline of Cain. You're going to find the Merovingian kings. You're going to find... Listen, just look. Research the bloodline of Cain. Okay? The bloodline of Cain is evidence that this happened. Okay? The evidence of Cain existing is evidence that Adam and Eve existed. Okay? Alright? Okay? Is evidence that there's reptilian DNA, which is actually the RH blood type. I'm not going to get into that, but you guys probably writing stuff down while I'm talking. Very good. Anyway, moving on. So now, right, interestingly enough, before we get into the bloodline of Cain and how that moved on to the royal family, the Vatican, the United States, let's talk about the children of these occurrences. All right? Because, mind you, Eden, right, was built for the arrival of Adam and Eve, to prepare mankind and earth for Adam and Eve's arrival, right? Eden was not in the same location of Dalmatia or I'm not going to say it wasn't located anywhere near Atlantis, right? Because the whole thing is that they disconnected our knowledge of Atlantis and Egypt and Eden. They disconnected all of these things, and we're connecting them here, right? Because Set, Set is the oldest brother, man. We want to talk about Cain and Abel. We can't talk about Cain and Abel yet because Set was Adam and Eve's first son. Yeah. Set is Adam and Eve's first son. Okay? Okay? Alright? Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Set is Adam and Eve's first son, the oldest brother. Alright? He ended up going to Egypt. Who knows why, how, when? I don't know. But he's older than Cain and Abel, was born first, ended up in Egypt. Okay? Alright? There is evidence that more evidence that Adam and Eve was here. It's because Set is their son. Forget about it. Listen, he's their first son. Cain, right, and Abel were not, obviously, were not twins. Okay? Abel is Adam's second son. Okay? And Cain is the son of Eve and Cano, the beginnings of the bloodline of Cain. Okay, so now, right, from the earliest records that we have of Atlantis are from Egypt. This is where the rods and the jetty and the jed rods and all of that comes together at, because all of the statues of the ancient Egyptian priests and gods were all holding rods in their hands, because that and the pyramids themselves and the technology of ancient Egypt is actually technology from Atlantis. Okay. All right. Now, we discussed the Greek gods. These are all the children. These are all the children of interbreeding that was not supposed to go down. All right? Okay? All right. To the average man that was on earth at those times, these beings were called gods, goddesses, monsters, whatever, all types of names they were called, right? But they are the children of this actually happening. I'm telling you this story because I don't want to call it his story. This is the story. This is what happened, right? Okay? Moving on. Because this happened, this is when there was a war in heaven. Because evil had taken things far too far. Okay? Right? This is around when the war in heaven happened. The war in heaven means there was a war in space. There was a war from planet to planet, universe, cosmic, whatever you want to call it. There was a war going on in space between the beings and creatures that rebelled against God and those that stayed loyal. Okay? Around now, when they did this, and they started, everything was screwing everything, and then Adam and Eve was sent, and then they did that. This is when they went too far, war in heaven. Okay? All right? Now, when the war in heaven happened, Lucifer was locked up. He was sent to what is called a detention world. He is currently now on a detention world awaiting, if you want to call it trial, he's awaiting trial. It is actually cosmically called Gabriel versus Lucifer. It's the case of Gabriel versus Lucifer. Don't ask me, I'm just saying. Okay? I'm putting all of these occurrences in chronological order for you. All right. Now, also, when this happened, some of the children of these beings, right, were not visible to the human eye. Kalagastya and his staff did not know that this was going to happen because they were not supposed to be screwing in the first place. Okay? But one of the occurrences of this worldwide interbreeding, was that there were children that were not visible to the human eye. Visible to other eyes, some animals, some other beings, right? But not visible to the human eye. Primitive man at those times considered these children of these beings that weren't visible, considered them as ghosts and evil spirits and demons, right? Right? Now, so I just wanted to throw that out there as to not leave them out and the origin of, okay? Now, okay. How can we, let me make sure. Let me take another one of my deep breaths and organize my thoughts so I can give this to you correctly. Because, whoa, what a story so far, right? Maybe you guys need a break too. Yeah, let's take 5, right? Maybe somebody has to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know. 5 minutes, right? We're gonna come back because this story, yeah. Okay, well maybe not 5, right? 60 seconds 5 times is a long time, right? But yeah, I'll give you guys a minute though. Next time during break, we're gonna pick some elevator music or maybe a machete song or something during break. That would be cool. Okay, we're gonna come back now. All right. Okay, that wasn't 5, but so what? Now, okay. We're going to kind of fast forward, right? Because we know that evil established itself and began taking over the world. The devil and the rebel members of Kalagastia's staff and the other fallen angels were all taking the planet over at this time, and who knows how many years this was, but somewhere between, well, a lot of things happened between 200,000 years ago, because mind you, I said that Kalagasti and his staff arrived 250,000 years ago, right? The amount of time about that it took to establish Atlantis, Dalmatia, and all these cities, right, took about 50,000. Listen to what I'm saying to you, all right? Y'all have to listen to what I'm saying to you, okay, right? Took about 50,000 years. Okay, y'all not listening to me talking to y'all. Right? 50,000 years to establish this, right? Okay, right? Uh, and about 200,000 years ago is when Satan, and I'm saying about, is when Satan was sent to earth and Kalagastia rebelled. Now, between 200,000 years ago, when this rebellion, this planetary rebellion happened, when the devil started his reign, right? Between 200,000 years ago and 7 BC, when Christ was born, because Christ was born, it did happen, right? A lot went on. You know, they established government and all that stuff, Rome, and all of that stuff was established. Evil had established itself, not fully, right, but it had a firm foundation at this point. Okay, and now, this is a very controversial topic, but I'm going to tell you what really happened here also. The Archangel Michael, the sun, right, in charge of the administration of heaven, our big brother, did not like what was going on Earth at the time, obviously. And at first, during the war in heaven, you'd like to know that Michael, at first did not want to get involved in this conflict. Okay? But around 7 BC, right, Michael decided to come to Earth to help us out himself. I'm going to say that again because the truth does not care whether you believe it or not. It is what it is. Michael, the Archangel, decided to come to Earth himself to help us out. But there was a catch. You cannot come to Earth to help mankind out as Michael, right? He wanted to come to Earth and help us out as one of us. He wanted to know what we were going through, what it was like to be human or man, right? He wanted to know what it was like. He wanted to come down here to help us himself. That is the whole occurrence of Gabriel letting Mary know that, you know, she was about to, you know, give birth to. Gabriel was protecting his brother, was making sure that everything went down smoothly, is what this was. Okay, she was going to be conceived. Michael's spirit was going to be in her body and was going to take the form of this human baby in her womb. This is what happened, okay? Because he wanted to grow up as a human child and grow up and just like we did, experience everything that we went through. He wanted to go through it. That's what happened, okay? Right? Okay? But the rules were, and the rules always are, that you have to be born through the womb of a woman, and you, like everyone else, right? And you cannot remember, okay? You're not allowed to remember what you knew before you got here. Okay? Right? You're not allowed to remember that. Okay? It's just you can't just come out of the womb talking and remembering things about the universe. It's bananas. You would shock mankind into chaos. Okay? So anyway, so this is what happened. That's what happened. We're going to talk about that first. That's what happened. You might have heard the term Christ Michael before. Look it up. That's because Christ this just means son, not S-U-N, it means S-O-N, the Son of God. That's what Christ means. Michael is the Son of God. Look up the term Christ Michael and play with that, okay? That's what happened, okay? All right? All right? Now, I'm also not talking about Mithras, who is the pale guy with red hair, long, straight red hair. That's Mithras. They did that on purpose because they like pissing us off and mocking us and mimicking us all the time. And so that's who that guy is, right? Christianity is actually Mithraism, okay? And all of the religions were created. The Vatican created all of the religions. We're not there yet. Okay, we're not there yet. We're getting there. Okay, so, right? Now, okay, so, the first thing I'm going to, because let me get into the evidence of Christ existing first before we get into his life and what he did. Let me clear up his existence, okay? Not saying anybody here doesn't believe that he existed, but if you do, let me help you out here. The evidence that Jesus Christ was here is that, and his name was Joshua ben Joseph. Some people say Joshua of Joseph, okay? Jesus was his nickname. So what? God can't have a nickname? Whatever. Listen, here's the deal. Here's proof that Jesus was here. Peter was one of his disciples, apostles. Peter's body is in Rome right now. It's in Rome. They crucified Peter upside down. His body is in Rome right now. Why did they crucify Peter upside down? Because of who he hung with. Who did Peter hang with? And why was he crucified upside down? Yeah, because this man, Jesus, is crucified right side up. Okay, so play with that. Look that up. And stop playing with me, son. Stop playing. All you idiot. Now, I'm not saying you guys are idiots because you are a great group, right? But all the idiots out there, all the idiot atheists out there, okay, they're idiots. Somebody had to be first, okay? Somebody had to be first, okay? Now, for the Christ thing, for these idiots out there that also don't believe that Christ existed, okay? Why is Peter's body in Rome right now? Peter's body is proof that Christ is here. Forget about it. Not only that, but every culture around the world, every ancient culture around the world has records of him being here. That would mean technically, that would technically mean that after one of us passes away, and I hope we all achieve immortality, okay, right? But when any of us passes away here on earth, that would mean that there's more proof that Christ existed on earth than there would be that you existed. Because there's not going to be any cultures around the world making books and stories and paintings of you, son. Okay? So let's cut the crap with that Jesus was never here stuff, right? Okay? Because there was more proof that he was here than anyone else in history, son. Right? Right? Okay, let's talk about Napoleon. Let's talk about Caesar. All right? There's not records of Caesar and paintings of Caesar and around the world, around everywhere around. Mind you, there were no planes, trains, or automobiles. B. Okay, so okay, son, right? Hmm. Hmm. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right. Anyway, so moving on. Moving on. Now, before we get into what this is actually a picture of, we're going to discuss that, okay, two things here. When the war in heaven happened, Lucifer was detained, sent to a detention world where he is currently. Satan was not detained at this time. Satan was still what I would say, the word I would use is loose. Satan was still loose, okay? But all of this, okay, throughout all of this chunk of history, Satan was still loose and used to make occasional visits to Earth to visit Caligastia and check on the plans to enslave and destroy us and make sure everything was going cool. When he would visit, there was a throne created for him where he would sit. Okay, Satan's throne. All right, okay. And the reason why I'm saying this right after mentioning and covering and clearing up the existence of Christ is because a very important moment in history where the two of these facts came together is when Satan came to earth to not tempt, because there's no way for him to tempt Michael, because mind you, people, Satan knew who Jesus was. He knew that was Michael. He did. He knew that. Okay? All right? Okay? And challenged him, tempting him. He challenged him because he said, hey, look, I know what you're saying and all that. I know who you are and everything, but we took this planet. It's ours, right? If you want it back, you want a piece of it, I'll let you get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you got to do is say that we did it. We pulled it off. Say we did it, man. Say we pulled it off, man. We took over mad planets. We started our own thing, man. Just say that we run shit now. Right? That's what is talking to Christ like this, right? And this is where the get ye behind me, Satan, happened at. And at this moment, Satan was defeated. At that moment, Satan was detained for that. Right? And this is where, Jesus overcame. And so I wanted to mention that very important moment in history where those two things came together. All right? Now, that is to say that currently Lucifer and Satan are on a detention world right now. Caligastia and his staff have not been detained. They are still here. The devil is still physically here, people. Okay? When there's all types of evidence of that. I don't even have to cover the evidence that Caligostia still, and that's the devil's real name. And nothing's gonna happen to you for knowing that or saying that or writing it down, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, y'all might not feel that you could say it, but he's a punk though, and I don't care. Like, his name is not scary. You can know it. There's nothing gonna happen to you for knowing it, right? Just don't sign no freaking contracts. Which brings us to the picture, right? Because after Christ left here, and the second thing I was going to bring up about Christ being here right before we continue is that he actually came here to save us from what happened, man. He came to help us, right? Because we were corrupted, infected, right? So he came here and, he showed us how to remove negative energy and negative entities. He showed us how to get rid of the parasites, the demons. He showed us how to do that, right? He also came here to save us, right? And when I say save, I mean, come on, son. It was almost to the point where mankind was so corrupted that it might have been decided that we was no good. You people, listen, and I don't want to say you people because I keep feeling like that, but I feel like I'm talking to the whole world when I'm talking to the class, so excuse me for saying things like that sometimes, but people don't appreciate how serious, how we could have been wiped out for that. The whole planet could have been infected. Oh man, if that didn't happen, right, for all these people challenging and talking about it didn't go down, you wouldn't even, does anyone have any idea what the world would be like if Christ really wasn't here? Come on. Like, what the... Anyway, right? Anyway, and I know what the devil did. I know what the Vatican did. I know all of the characters they created. I know that Mithras is that image of the red guy and Caesar Borgia and all of that crap with the guy with the red hair is and all of that. I don't listen. Fine. Take those details, put them in your notes on the file, whatever. But add what I'm saying to all of that and put all of those puzzle pieces together, please. Okay? Now, our salvation comes from believing that the Christ part of the story happened and that the God part of the story happened. Your salvation, you being saved, is simply in you believing that somebody had to be first and that somebody was here to help us out and that his son came here to help us out. That's all that salvation consists of, is in believing that. If you believe that, right, when you believe that, that is when your baptism is somewhere around the corner. Believing that gives you the ability to say, okay, fine, I want to get out of this. I believe with that. That makes sense to me. That, and when I research everything and all that and everything, you know what I'm saying? All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? That is what it has to be what went down. Nothing else really makes sense. So I forget that I told you that. You could have came to that conclusion before this class. What I'm saying is that when anyone comes to that conclusion, that is when your baptism is right around the corner. You're able to leave hell into the kingdom of heaven simply by being saved. That's what is required of you to be able to enter the kingdom of heaven and exit the kingdom of hell, to leave the public and enter the private. Is everybody with me? I almost want to ask for an amen right now, but I'm just saying, moving on to this picture here. Now, Okay. The devil, after Christ passed away, left us, and came back in 3 days. But after he left us the second time, like Tupac be doing, right? Right? Anyway, I'm just saying, after he left the second time, after his second album, after he passed away, the devil created a church in his name, in honor of himself, because he took over the world. Right? Is what, you know what I'm saying? Right? So he created a church in honor of himself, a temple, a church in honor of himself. Son, which is the Vatican, is the devil's house, B. Is where he created all the religions at, Christianity, and you know what I'm saying, and all of it, let me not say all the religions, because there's people out there that made up their own religions. So let me say the major religions, right? That's where all of that was created at. That is the devil's house. He created that church in honor of himself. Okay, we're going to get into the forefathers and all the old demon hunters and all the good guys and heroes. We're going to get into them later. Martin Luther was the first one, not the first one, but Martin Luther was one of the first to expose this fact, okay? this fact, okay? Right? Boom. Now, this picture, right, is of what is called the unum sanctum. Okay, this is an actual picture of it. This is the skin of the back of a child, and this is the contract that was actually written on between the Pope of that time and the devil. Right? I don't have to get into the details of this contract because you are reading it right now in your Marvin Gaye file. Mind you, all of these puzzle pieces, what's going on here, what we're dealing with and what we're facing, right? So far, this is what's going on and what we're facing. Not done yet, but I'm just saying. Now, the unum sanctum is where this whole Sestakv Act of 1666 was started, and the birth certificate, and the whole madness of the Sestakv birth certificate accounts and all this crap. This is where it all started at. The contract between the Pope of that time and the devil that's still here right now. Here is a photo of the actual contract called the unum sanctum. It's not, listen, man, okay, right, okay, which is actually a trust between the devil and the Pope, which was the man that was put in charge of the Vatican, the church created in honor of the devil, because that is where the devil disappeared. And that is where the words myth and legend and fable and fairy tale, that is when they created those words. Because what they did was they removed themselves from Caligostia, the devil and his staff, and all of those beings and creatures and rebellious entities removed themselves from history by creating the words myth, legend, fairy tale, folklore, and all those words, right? And then put a man, right, in charge of evil on the planet, right? So that it would seem that there was one man in charge of all of the evil on the planet, and there was no devil. right? So nobody's looking for trying to hunt down the devil. He's not real. He's symbolic of the evil within mankind naturally. Right? Okay? Right? So the devil removed himself from history, put a man in charge of the church that was created in honor of the devil. And so then they created a contract, a trust, because if I'm going to disappear, and right, this is what the devil is saying. If I'm going to disappear, nobody's going to be able to see me, really, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? The whole organization, establishment of us is not going to be publicly known. We're going secret, super secret, right? So you are going to have to run evil, right? Be the face of evil for us. And when you die, because you will, oh my God, you're going to die. And when you do, the Pope after you is going to have to do this too. He's going to have to uphold this contract, right? Okay, so this is a trust they created, right? Okay, now, this is a picture of one of the recent popes. What you're looking at in the background is a very sick sculpture, but the chair that the Pope is sitting in is called the devil's. This is called Satan's throne. Sorry, it's called Satan's throne. Okay, now I don't know if this Satan's throne was created from pieces of the actual Satan's throne, or if it's a replica of it, or if it's the actual one. I do not know. But I know that this chair, that this pope, that these popes sit in is called Satan's throne. Okay? Just connecting everything for you. I didn't make this up. It's too bananas for me to make. I'm pretty smart, but I'm not that smart. Okay? To put all of this sick, twisted for what I told you guys so far, there is no level of genius that I could achieve to create a story so sick and twisted, yet wonderfully beautiful at the same time. There's no way. Now, from the, mind you, I'm going to stop here to mention that the origin of rebellion against God, the origin of evil, the origin of what we're dealing with is an outbreak, is an infection, is a virus, okay, that was created in Lucifer's body. What has been actually happening, right, is that these parasites have Lucifer's mind. They are intelligent. They possess Lucifer's mind. When he infected Satan, these parasites take over the mind and bodies of their hosts, and they all begin to think like Lucifer. Are you guys with me? Okay? Listen, okay? Satan was the first being to be infected with one of these parasites. The Gnostics called them the Archons. Okay? They have been taking over the minds and bodies of beings all the way from the angels in heaven all the way down to mankind. I'm talking about every rebellious, evil being from Satan all the way down to, I don't know, the latest rapist. Who knows, right? All they are infected. They all have this parasite in their brain, son. Listen to what I'm saying to you. This is what is going on. All right? In ancient times, this infection was called, in ancient Egypt, right? The Gnostics called them the archons. There was no name for the outbreak, or it wasn't called the virus at the time. There was no such thing as a scientist at the time. They were called the archons because they were identified for the intelligent parasites that they were. Okay? All of this knowledge and information was destroyed when the Gnostics' library in Alexandria was burned, and the remaining books and tablets and scrolls of the truth were taken and put under, they are under the Vatican. Any evidence, any physical ancient evidence, what I'm saying, is either burnt, destroyed, or under the Vatican. Okay. Now, right? Right? In ancient Egypt, this outbreak was called solanum, which is Solanum. I don't care who, everything you look up, there's going to be people that say it's false. There's going to be people that say it's true. But I'm telling you to connect all of these puzzle pieces, put them together, man. In ancient Egypt, it was called solanum. It was called the Black Plague. It was called Goo syndrome. In Asia, here in America, it's called toxoplasmosis. All of these names are words for this outbreak, right? These parasites that originated in Lucifer's body that have been taking over the minds and bodies of creatures and beings since back then up to now. Now, in ancient times, when mankind was infected with this parasite, they would go negative. This is the first depiction of what we know as zombies. Okay? They have found skulls, bodies, where there were holes in the heads because, I don't know, either parasite got out, or somebody tried to take the parasite out, or who, I don't know, but look up solanum. That was the first in ancient Egypt. That was their account of this outbreak, okay, where it took over. Now, mind you, when this happens, the people become violent, go negative, son. All right? Pay attention, right? The Black Plague, okay, every time. And what happens is, after the people go negative, there's usually a war. After the war, there's usually a depression. Because what happens with the war is that the bloodshed, the bodies, it spreads the infection, man. People in contact with each other, it spreads the infection. Then after the war, and most of the people in that area are infected, then there's a depression. There's a depression because the infection of the parasite affects the minds of all the people, and they become depressed and negative. Man, just pay attention, okay? Right? All right. So now what I'm saying is that this infection went from the Vatican and the Pope and the Unum Sanctum, and they created the royal family. This is the bloodline of Cain. This is where the devil's blood, this is where all of that, the bloodline of Cain's, this is where they put the bloodline of Cain in power. They said, okay, all right, the Pope, he's going to be the man that represents evil on earth. Okay, but we need a hierarchy, right? Because he's going to create the religions. That's going to be the religious sector, right? Of this conquest of evil of the earth and mankind. But we need a hierarchy. So we're going to use Cain's blood, the most royal blood, because Cain is the royal king that we wanted to create in the first place, that was combined with was combined with our DNA, with the reptilian DNA of the Draconians, who are pretty, they kick ass, right? Okay, so we have their DNA, we have their DNA, Adam and Eve's DNA, and we have mankind's DNA, all in one being, right? All in one being. So what we're going to do is use the bloodline of Cain, because to us, that's royalty, okay? They're going to be the hierarchy. So the bloodline of Cain was placed into position, right, as the hierarchy on the planet that would represent the devil, right, as his ruling class. Yeah, right? Okay. And so you guys can follow history and you guys could track and follow evil as to how what steps and how all of this went down in history, the Demon Brothers, the Rothschilds. You guys know about all that stuff, and if you don't, look it up, put all these puzzle pieces together. This is what's going on. This is what happened, man. All right? Moving forward. So, the devil has established a church in honor of himself. The devil has established a hierarchy, a royal family that represents evil on earth. Cool. Now they need a military. We need muscle now. Who's going to be the muscle, the bully? That's where the United States, Europe, and all that moved to the United States, created that whole military force, the United States superpower, the tanks, the airplane, all of that. Listen, and the government and all of that, you know what I'm saying? You guys know about the government, and I don't have to get into the details of how all of that went down and the United States Incorporated and all that. But that's what we're dealing with, okay? Okay? The Unum Sanctum is where the Sesta KV Act of 1666, which is our first indication of 666 as a number, right, occurs at. Okay? You got to follow these things, right? Then we come to the United States Incorporated, right, which is, in chronological order, that's where we're at right now. United States Incorporated, right, which also was created by the bloodline of Cain, which we're not going to get into because I told you guys you could play with the details yourselves, man, right? But that's where the Sesta KV Act of 1666, the birth certificate trust, and all that. And then you got your Social Security card, which is actually under U.S. Title 42-666. And so, listen, people, I'm telling you that what we're dealing with here is far deeper. You guys want to send out letters. There's people out there, these sovereign citizen idiots, these guys is trying to challenge and remove people from office, and they trying to and what is it they trying to put liens on people's bonds and all this. Man, they don't know who they fucking with. It's serious out here. It's crazy out here, son, what we're dealing with. And you can't be, look, man, you can't go out there not knowing this. I'm not going to let y'all go out there not knowing this. And you have children as people you can teach this to. We can't let that truth be erased from history. We can't let the future generations grow up not knowing what's going on or what they're dealing with. We can't have them just throwing up middle fingers to judges and government officials, and they don't know. You have no idea who or what you dealing with, son. Listen, and let me tell y'all something about this whole parasite thing and this infection thing, man, and this zombie thing. Let me tell y'all about that. Okay? What this is the trick, the media trick. The media trick is this, right? In ancient Egypt, when Selenium was going down, when this infection was going down back then, when mankind was being infected, right? Okay? Right? All right. The depiction of what we see on television now as zombies, that's what the infected was like back then. If you check history, what we see in movies, zombie movies now, is what ancient history says happened when people were infected. They would walk around, you know what I'm saying, they would turn cannibal, they would be eating people and trying to infect other people, and they would be walking slow, and their skin would, right? Cool. That's what zombies were like in ancient Egypt, man. Guess what? Guess what? The infected evolved just like everything else. Now, the infected, the zombies, now, this is the media trick. They try to make you think that if anybody was a zombie, this is what they would look like. This is what they would move like. They would make noises like this. They would try to, that's the media trick. No, that's what zombies used to do. Zombies, the infected, they evolved like everything else. Now, zombies can run for president, use a cell phone, a gun, fly an airplane, run for president, make a rap song, get your phone number, have your baby. Yeah. Because, and guess what? They don't have to walk around eating flesh. They could just go to the grocery store. Yeah, you can tell who's infected because they have dark circles around their eyes. Their skin is a little messed. Their skin is messed up. Their teeth probably they move slower than everybody else and everything. But you got makeup. You got ointments and shit. You can, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Zombies, the infected, evolved just like everything else, man. Over half the world's population is infected with toxoplasmosis, is infected by the archons, has that parasite that originated in Lucifer's body, and over half the population on this planet right now is infected and has this parasite in their brain. This parasite is intelligent. Dr. Robert Sapolsky is the top neurobiologist on the planet. Robert Sapolsky said out of his mouth that this parasite knows more about the human brain than 20,000 neurobiologists standing on each other's shoulders. The top neurobiologist in the world said that this parasite knows more about the brain than 20,000 neurobiologists. If that's not saying that this parasite is intelligent, this microscopic parasite is more intelligent than us, if that's not proof of what I'm saying, then I don't know what else to tell you. If that's not putting the puzzle pieces together as to why people are the way they are and why the world is the way it is and why people can do such and I don't know how they can, you know what I'm saying, right? Look, if that doesn't put all of the puzzle pieces together for you, I don't know what is. But that is what's going on. That is who and what we're dealing with. Please know this before you decide to initiate any process, right? Before you attempt to take any steps, before you decide to put a lien on anything or anybody, before you want to step into a temple of Baal, before you want to challenge before you want to challenge a devil or a devil master, before you want to go and hire a devil. You might want to know what's going on first. I'm just saying. I was raised that you don't just go outside and just walk and just go sit on any curb. Just go to any block that you think is cool and lean on the store wall or you're supposed to know your hood before you go outside. You're supposed to know who's out there. You're supposed to know where you could go and where you can't go. You're supposed to Nigga, you supposed to know where the cameras is at. You supposed to know, So what? You supposed to know what gangs, what colors, who wears what. You supposed to know these things before you go outside and hang outside. So please, please go over your notes and files and classes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Please. And I know you guys are in other groups and you are watching and seeing all types of, I don't know, because I don't go in these groups. I don't go look. I'm not in these groups. I don't care. Okay? It's not my concern. I'm not interested in confusing myself. Not that I would be confused. I would just be shaking my head and sucking my teeth, right, most of the time. But I'm just saying, son, I don't want to put that in my mind. I don't want my brain recording what I can't use. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure you guys in these other groups, seeing these people talk all this outlandish, it's outlandish. Okay? Based on what you know now, you can, I don't know, click on your computer, click on your group, open a new tab, go into one of those groups right now. Read about 3-4 posts, son. It's outlandish. Based on what you know, based on what's really going on here, what these people are attempting to do, the way they're attempting to do it is outlandish, ridiculous, frivolous, foolishness. Seriously, it is. And so that's what tonight's class is about. And I'm thinking that we covered almost everything so far, but I'm not done. From all of this madness and crap that we just discussed, right? The temple of Baal, because mind you, the devil has demons and, other beings that rebelled with him against God, and they have different names. I'm not gonna get into demonology with you tonight. That's another class, right? But there's a demon named Baal who has been giving mankind problems since the beginning, okay? This demon Baal and his children, right, have been getting on our nerves for a very long time. But Baal has his own temple church in honor of himself, and those temples are called courts or banks. The reason why I say bank is because if you look up the definition of the legal definition in a law dictionary of a bank, you're going to find that a bank is a court and a court is a bank, and they are the same thing. But don't get confused by saying, oh, well, a court is a bank is a court. Oh. No. It's the temple of Baal first. It's the temple of the demon Baal first. Google temple of Baal. Then click images. You're going to see ancient ruins of something. It's going to be the ancient ruins of the temple of Baal. And you're going to notice that it looks familiar, right? It's going to look something like a courtroom or some well-established banks, because they are all one and the same. What do you think these beings are? These carving statues are on top of the building. Why do you think it looks like that? Hmm? Hmm? Yeah. Because, pay attention. Please pay attention. The gods, the children, okay, of these negative entities, these beings, these demons, these monsters, the children of them, right? They have there are certain characteristics to their structures, man. Think Rome, right? Think Rome. Go ahead, think it. Picture it. Picture it. What you see is a bunch of white buildings and pillars and stuff and statues and stuff. Does that not remind you of Washington, D.C.? Huh? No? Does it not remind you of courtrooms and banks? Yes. Why? Why is that? Because they are temples of the children of what we discussed earlier in the class. Okay? Is what we're dealing with and facing. Mind you, some of them, because they're not immortal, they lost their immortality. Some of them died. Some of these beings, some of these gods, so-called gods, some of these demons, some of these monsters, they're dead. But guess what? They didn't stop screwing. They have children, they have families, they have heritages, they have legacies that they evil, sick, dark, twisted legacies that they've left behind. They have they have ancestors that look just like you and me. they, oh boy, it's bugged out there, people. It's crazy out there, and and this may be the first time that all of it was put together for you. You know what I'm saying? But and also there's details that I left out. But whatever details that you have that I left out, you'll be able to take it and just fit it in to the story and look at the whole thing and be like, wow, wow. Right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And that concludes our class. That's what's going on. That's who and what we're dealing with. That's what we've been discussing in all of these classes. That's the puzzle that we've been putting together. That is most of the big picture, okay? That's most of the big picture. I didn't discuss, things about the human potential and what we are and all of that because I wanted to tell you tonight what is going on, what evil has been doing the whole time, okay? And how that happened and how it's all connected and how it's all very, 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 very real, okay? All of it is real. I'm going to end this with saying everybody's right. The truth is that everybody is right. Everybody's right. Nobody is wrong. Everybody was here. Everything happened. Nothing is a lie. Your job as students on this planet is to figure out how everybody is right. How is it possible that nobody is wrong? How is it possible that everything happened and all of these people and beings and creatures and gods, how is it that all of them, the werewolves, the vampires, how is it that everything exists and everything was here? How is it that all of that happened? How is it that that's true? Well, I hope that I, helped you guys with that tonight, okay? And I also say that to help you become familiar with the fact that your citizenship is a cosmic citizenship. You are part of something you are part of a planetary, of a universal, of a cosmic conflict. Okay? You decided to join good. You didn't decide to just join good on Earth. You decided to join good, period. There are other beings. There are angels that are protecting and watching and rooting for you while you're rooting for them. Okay? I'm just saying, this is bigger, okay, than the government. This is bigger than cops and courthouses, all right? And you are a part of it, whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not. This school is to help you participate and play whatever part that it is that your part is in all of this, okay? And to help you do your best in it and not be restrained or enslaved or restricted by anything other than God's law. And good night. That's a wrap. See you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.